Hey folks, I'm Tony, and today we are going to dive into the Rich Text Laravel package. I've silently tagged the version 1.0 a couple weeks ago, and I did that because I wanted to work on some content for the package, but yeah, things didn't quite work out on my timeline. Anyways, so I'm gonna guide you through installing the package, and then we are going to explore the editor a bit. So this package integrates the Trix editor with Laravel, and the Trix editor is this one built at Basecamp, and yeah, it's amazing, and we are going to explore it. It's pretty powerful. Yeah, I want to guide you through installing the package and using Trix, and then we can explore some advanced stuff down the road together. So I've prepared an application for this guide. It's this one over here. It's a basic post, I guess a journaling application. So users can sign up, they can create posts, which is like the diaries or whatever, and they can enter a title and some content. And as you can see right now, we only have the content as a text area field, which means that we are only storing plain text content. We are going to install Trix and switch this one from the text area into Trix. And we are also going to migrate the existing data into HTML so Trix can load it. Without further ado, let's dive right into it. Okay, so if you head out to the documentation part, the first thing that we have to do is installing the package via Composer, so that's what we are doing. Now we have to run the rich text install artisan command. And as you can see, there are some extra steps that we have to do. The install command tells us that some config files were published and some migrations were published, and that this file was published as well. And we need to update our app.js file to import the libs Trix file that got created. So if we go to the resource.js libs, we have the Trix file over here, which just imports Trix and yeah, exports it basically. If you have any Trix configuration, or if you want to add any elements to Trix, that's the place to do it. So what we have to do here is go to the app.js file and import the Trix file. The CLI says to use import, but you can actually use whatever you're using. So the next step is to add the CSS lines to the application.css file. And we need that because when we upload an attachment to Trix, the package will create this custom HTML tag, and the browser doesn't know how to install this properly, so we need to do some customizations there, some CSS tweaks. And also, if we are using Tailwind, I find it that Tailwind resets some styles, some browser default styles, so we need to reapply some of these styles so Trix can render, Trix content can render correctly in the browser. So that's what we are doing. Let's copy it and then head out to the app.css file, and I'm gonna paste it over here. If you want, you can create another file and import it, but yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna do it like this. Okay, now the last step is to install npm, to run npm install and to compile the assets. Okay, so looks like we got it. Yeah, so let's explore the migration first. So the package ships with a suggested database structure. Basically, all rich text content fields will be stored in the rich text table, and they'll have their own model and all that. Our application was not using that pattern, so we need to migrate this content from the existing application to the new approach. And to do that, we are going to create a new migration. If you're starting out a new application, you don't need to do this step, so feel free to skip this part. So if we open up that migration file, I'm going to paste the code over here and we are going to discuss it. Okay, so I need to import a few things. Okay, so what we are doing here is we are looping over all the posts that we currently have in the application. And for each post, we are creating a new entry in the rich text table. And we are going to associate it with the post. This table is polymorphic, so we can have the polymorphic relationship over here. All rich text content is going to be stored in a body field, and that's what we are doing over here. So the field which is previously called content is going to be stored in the body field of the rich text table, and this field was called content. This is because we can have multiple fields in the same model that are rich text content, and to allow that we need to store the name of the content over here. No big deal, we can do that. And one more thing over here, right now this is going to return the class's fully qualified name, but let's help Laravel understand that we are not interested in storing the class's fully qualified, the model's fully qualified class name, but instead we want to store an alias. So head out to the app service provider. In the boot method, we can call the relation class and we can call the enforce map. So we are using the post alias to point to the post model, and that's going to take care of that part. So after creating new entries for each post, we are going to drop the content field from the post because we no longer need it. Now we head out to the post model and we are going to use the has rich text trait, and over here we're going to create a new property called rich text fields. And right now we only have the content, so if we had more fields we could specify them here, like notes for instance, but we don't, so let's keep it simple. Let's head out to the browser and see what we get there. Yeah, so I need to run the migration. Let's refresh and see what we get. First thing, we can already see that we get the HTML escaped over here. That's not what we want, but let's see if the application is behaving correctly. And looks like it is. Okay. We can still see the text area field over here. So let's use Trix. The package says that we can check out the Trix users documentation. And to use Trix, we need two elements. We need a hidden input field with an ID, and we need to add the Trix editor and tell it which input to sync. This hidden input is what gets submitted by the browser to our backend. So we need a name attribute on it and stuff like that. And Trix will make sure that the state is always in sync, so we don't have to worry about that. Let's head out to the form. The create and the edit form in our application are using the same component, which is this one, and there is one component for the rich text field. So we can head to that component where we can see that it's just a text area. So let's convert it to Trix to be a Trix editor, and then we can discuss it further. So yeah, we are using the value attribute of the hidden field to tell Trix to initialize with this HTML. You can see over here that we are not receiving a text field, and we are calling a method on whatever we're receiving over here. But if you look at the form, we are only passing the post content. So this was before just a string primitive, but now it's actually the rich text model, which implements which delegates to the content class whenever it finds a method like this. So let's open Tinkerwell and Thinker. So if I get the post of ID 2, as you can see over here, which should be the same post. No, we are tinkering with posts of ID 1. Okay. If I get the content of this post, you can see that it's actually an instance of the rich text model, which has the body and stuff like that. So if I call it to Trix HTML on it, which is what it's happening over here, what do we get? We get the HTML to feed Trix. This is a little bit different than the HTML that we render for the user, the final render. But yeah, that's not important for now. Just have to know that if you're feeding Trix, you have to use this method. So if we head out to the browser now and we refresh over here, we can see that we now get the Trix editor, and we can make it bold, italic, and we can strike through. We can add some links to this. Yeah, the whole package, right? If we save it, we can still see that our HTML is being escaped, and that's not what we want. So if we head out to the show view, let's see what's going on here. When we use the double curly braces, Laravel will automatically escape the string over here, so we are not rendering any unsafe HTML, but that's not what we want here. We want to render rich text content, right? We want to output it like this, which, by the way, is unsafe, but we are going to handle that in a bit, so stick with me. And let's go to the browser, refresh, and there you can see it. If we head to the dashboard, we can still see that this is outputting the escaped HTML. That's not what we want. Let's go to the dashboard view. And over here we see that it's looping over the posts, and each post is rendered in a card. So let's go to the card component, and over here it's getting the content of the post, just the first 300 characters in there. That's not what we want. And yeah, over here, if we change this to plain text, we can see that it will remove all tags from the content that we had, and we'll just have the plain text version of that rich text field. And let's actually use that over here because it's safer to calculate the first 300 characters of plain text, and then we don't have to worry about escaping because we are only getting plain text over here. Okay, let's go to the browser, refresh, and voila. So that's good. We got Trix working, right? But as I said, there is a security breach over here, and let's explore that part. If you open your inspector over here, and actually in the form, so let's go to the edit page, and you inspect the Trix editor, you will see that there's a Trix editor element. So let's delete that. Let's also delete the toolbar because we don't need it. And over here, let's make this hidden field. Let's turn it into a text field. Now we can enter content in this field, which will get submitted by the browser. So let's create a script tag that alerts hey, and save it. And now you see the alert was the JavaScript was actually executed in the show page. So that's because we're not actually escaping. If you see over here, we get the script tag rendered, which the browser thinks it's supposed to render. So yeah, we got found. This application is a dummy one, so the users can see only what they post. But anyways, that serves to demonstrate what the dangers of unescaping HTML content that the user enters. And how do we fix that? So the package, when it talks about escaping like this, like here, the package mentions a technique that's called HTML sanitization. And it mentions this package, which is the one that I've used before. So I'm recommending that just because I've used this one. What we have to do over here is install the package. So let's do that. Okay, so the package gives us a function called clean that we can use when we want to purify some HTML so we don't render the entire HTML spec. We can rely on just a subset of the HTML. Like we don't need to support all HTML tags. We can just render a couple tags to make the rich text experience good. And that also shrinks the surface of attack. So anyways, let's go to the browser and see what we get. If we refresh, we can see a couple of things. The styles for our link are gone. You don't see the underscore. And there was actually a strike through somewhere over here that we don't see anymore. If we go to the edit page, we can see the strike through and the link styles. So the package strips out a bunch of tags and attributes to make it safer to render. We can configure the package to allow some tags and stuff. So the way to do that is, let's say we want to keep this strike through over here. We can see in Trix which tag it's using there. It's the del tag, and we have to publish the configuration from the package, so we can copy this line. Now we head out to the purifier, and in the allowed HTML, we can tell it that the del tag is safer to render. So now if we head over to the show page again, we can see that the strike through is there. So that's good, but yeah, we are going to need to allow some certain tags and some certain attributes to make our lives here easier, basically. And yeah, there's a suggested configuration here for the Muse Purifier package, which you can use, or you can, help me contribute to this to make it safer and better. I have one on my clipboard that I'm going to use, so I'm going to select everything and paste it over here. So yeah, let's head out to the browser, refresh, and we should see that everything is working as we expect. As you can see over here, we still have the alert in the content that someone tried to hack us. So let's save it. If we save it, that's going to be gone. Basically, Trix will remove it for us. But yeah, we don't have to worry about that anymore because we are sanitizing the HTML. So this is usually where most Trix integrations stop. But I wanted to go further. There is one feature in Trix that it's not implemented by default, which is the file upload feature. So if we try to upload a file, like this blue image, we'll get the progress bar, which is this gray bar over here. And it's actually just gray. So looks like something works. So we might be thinking that it worked, but it actually didn't. If we save this, we'll see that the image was not stored. That's because Trix doesn't know how to upload files to your application. So you have to do the uploading yourself and then tell Trix that the image was successfully uploaded. And how do we do that? Well, we are going to be using Alpine for this, but you listen to some events. Yeah. So some events over here, Trix dispatches events on several places, and this one is the one that we can use to implement the uploading part. There is an example over here, but we're not going to use that. So let's use Alpine to implement file uploading in Trix. So head out to the rich text component. I'm gonna format this a little bit different just so we can toy with it for a while. Okay, so let's initialize Alpine. And by the way, Alpine comes installed with Breeze, which is the scaffolding that we are using over here. So I don't have to install it myself. And we are going to listen to the Trix attachment add event, and I'm going to invoke an upload function. That function doesn't exist, so I'm going to create it in the component over here. We're going to receive an event, and I'm going to paste the implementation of the function. Okay, so we are creating a form data, which is how we do form uploads in JavaScript. If we want to use the multi-part form upload. And over here we are using Axios, which comes installed with Laravel by default. So we are posting the form to a /attachments route, which doesn't exist. We are going to create it soon, passing the form data and some configuration over here. This is just so Trix can update the progress bar accordingly. So we are hooking into Axios upload progress, and we are updating the attachment, which comes in the event that we get from Trix. We are setting the upload progress so it knows how to calculate, how to compute the progress. And once the upload is done, we are getting the response data, and we get the image URL attribute in the response. So we need to make sure that we are returning an image URL field from the attachments route, and we are setting the URL attribute in the Trix attachment, which should tell Trix that this image upload was successful, basically. Let's implement the backend. This should be it for the front end from the client, for the client side. So let's go to the web routes file, and I'm gonna paste it an implementation over here and import the storage facade. So what's going on here? We are creating a attachments post route. We expect attachment field, which is a file. We could say it's an image. That's fine, unless we wanted to upload all this stuff other than images. But yeah, we're only interested in images right now, so let's keep it as images. And we are storing that in the public storage disk from Laravel file system. We are storing it in a Trix attachments folder. And over here we are returning the image URL field, which gets used by the client side, as you saw earlier over here. So that should be it. Let's go to the browser, refresh, and try to upload something. One more time, let me open DevTools, the network tab. We are watching the Ajax requests, and let's try to upload an image. So this blue one, and we see that it posted and it returned a URL, image URL. Yeah, looks like we got an error over here, 404, but the image is rendering, so let's save it and see what we get. Okay, so looks like we are getting the same error as before, and that's because, so if we go to the all requests, we can see there's a 404 in our image, and if we try to open that in another tab, we can see that we get a 404, and that's because we need to symlink the storage folder with the public folder. As I'm using Sail over here, I'm going to run Sail artisan storage link, and that should create the symlink for us. So if we go to the browser one more time and refresh over here, we should see the image, and that works. That's awesome. Okay, so yeah, we can actually edit the caption again. For instance, the caption gets stored and all that. If we head out to the dashboard, we can see there is the text version, the to plain text conversion gets the caption of the image, which is cool. Something else that we can do over here. Oh, so yeah, Trix has a concept like when you're uploading multiple images. Let's make this a title, and let's upload something. So Trix, when you're uploading multiple images in Trix, it's actually going to display them differently. So instead of displaying each image one on top of the other, it's going to display them as an image gallery, which is pretty cool if you ask me. So let's save it and see what we get. We get the same view. That's awesome. If we implement this like this, green image, the caption pink image and red image. The caption gets persisted and all that, so that's cool. So yeah, this is it. That's how you can use the package to integrate Trix and Laravel. That's how you do image uploading. That's how you sanitize HTML to render rich text content and stuff like that. There's a lot more I want to cover, but this will do it for the first video. I want to cover things like custom Trix attachments. Maybe we implement user mentions, which is already described in the documentation as an example. But yeah, we can do it together. And also the image uploading, the attachment uploading that we implemented in this video was pretty simple. There's still things that we need to improve. Something like when we delete an attachment, it's still kept around in the storage, and that's probably not ideal. So we want to listen for a Trix event and delete the attachment. We also want to handle what happens with the attachments when the post is deleted. So things like that. There's a lot more we can cover, but that will do it for this video. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.